I thought that it would be helpful to put together a recording over your lecture to help your revision and to help mop up for the interaction you had over the weekend with your tutors. Apparently, we had some noisy backgrounds for some of the classes, so this will be helpful in your revision. The topic for lecture 3 includes verbal dispute, substantive disagreement, metaphors, linguistic errors, the laws, the types of discourse. So you would see that the outline of the unit includes the following, what you see on your screen that I have mentioned. Now, one key thing you should take note of is the 2 types of dispute. I think that you make it an effort to continually engage the slides that have been posted for you and engage the tutorial sessions. But most part of the work depends on you. And so if you have read the verbal dispute versus substantive disagreement, then you know that this is only an addition to help you grab what you read. See, we say people are disputing verbally from the word verb, language. There's something to do with language there. When the people are disputing or disagreeing, and it ultimately borders on how they are using language, then we would call it a verbal dispute. When disputants seem to disagree because they are using the same words but inconsistently. So what they are saying is actually the same, but they are saying it differently. So there is the suggestion or the thinking that they disagree. You see, the same thing being said in 2 different ways by 2 different people. So it suggests to them that they disagree. That is what a verbal dispute is. For example, you see, Kofi says she's a nurse. Kojo says no, she's a health worker instead. Now, if you saw 2 people seemingly disagreeing like this, one just has to tell them, but a nurse is actually a health worker. Okay, and so if I say she's a nurse and you want to tell me that that is not correct, that's how come there's a dispute. It's not correct. You want to correct that and you say she's a health worker. We are just saying the same thing. It's the language that differs. And so this kind of reasoning or dispute can be resolved by what stipulating mean, a stipulative definition. We can agree on what we mean when we say health worker or when we say nurse, and there won't be conflict or there won't be value change. Our values about it, our point of views or viewpoints won't change on the subject matter proper. What we are disagreeing on is the language. Okay, that's the point. Now, what about the disagreement that we call substantive? That one is a fruitful disagreement. Substantive. There is something that we are really disagreeing about. That is when disputants disagree because each side subscribes to what contrasting values or has in view different facts. There's a subject matter and a discussion. Okay. So when the 2 disputing parts have in view different values, you see, like value judgment, remember, or different facts. So I am thinking that the IMF or our inflation is at so and so percent, and you think, no, it is so rather. So there's a disagreement. Here, we are able to engage in what? Argumentation, presenting evidence to support your claim. That's what an argument is. We use that to try to convince or woo the other person to our side. So this is an actual disagreement. In other words, one is standing at the north and the other is standing at the south, or the east versus the west. This is actually disagreement. For the first one, the verbal one, we are all at the north. Okay? We are not disagreeing. It's just the language that we are not using consistently. So how I am using that language is not how you are using it. But for substantive disagreement, there is an actual disagreement because I am opposed to you on the matter of either the facts or the perspective, the values that ground what I'm doing. So for example, this person says she's a nurse because she has a certificate from the training school. And Kojo says, no, she's not really a nurse because she does not care for her patients. Think for a minute about that. They are both using the word nurse, yes, but they are disagreeing about what a nurse should be, not what a nurse is. You see, they are disagreeing about values, opinions, what ought to be the case, value judgment. When I say opinion, sometimes people mix that up with feelings. It's not the same. Feelings are the ones that you are advised to throw out as emotive expressions, okay? But value judgments have truth value, just that they have subjective truth. Their truth or falsity depends on the point of view, like we have gone through already. So what is going on in this example of substantive disagreement is that one person thinks if you are a nurse, then you would have to what? Have a certificate from a training school. The other person thinks, no, that is not what defines a nurse. A nurse should be a person that cares for her patients. Okay, so you, for this second person, you could have a certificate from a training school, properly certified, of course, and he or she will not, will not still think you are a nurse, insofar as you don't take care of your patients. Okay, so this is not a factual matter. This is more a what? A value oriented issue. You got that? I think that was one of the keys. So there are more examples in your test. That man is Pante. No, he's not. He's Akan. Pante, Akan, Pante, Akan. How do we resolve that? Someone just has to tell them that, look, someone just has to tell the two disputants in example one that panties are also what Akans. Think of it that way. So the subject matter is not different. It's the linguistic referencing that is very okay. So we shouldn't be pulling hairs over Fante, Akan. That's the whole point. That's why it's verbal. Okay, that's why it's verbal. However, look at the second one. That man is not a real Christian because she does not speak in tongues. Then the response is no, she really is a Christian because she was baptized and confirmed in the United Methodist Church. Now, the temptation is to think that because the key word there is Christian, it means it's verbal. No, that is very wrong. It is not just in the word Christian. They are all using the word Christian, really. But what they mean is, and that is what your textbook tells you, she's not really a Christian. So I think that what a Christian should be is what? Should be one who speaks in tongues. That's what is going on. The other person, no, I think a Christian should be baptized and confirmed. These are prescriptions. They are subscribing to different viewpoint about what a Christian should be, not what a Christian is. So this is an actual disagreement, which is substantive. What are they disagreeing about? What a Christian should be, not the meaning of Christian in abstraction. Okay, the textbook gives you some elaboration on that, so that you don't have to work yourself. This is directly from the text, and it says, this example. There are quite a number of such. Okay, but this one is the fourth or so example. Let me just fetch it out. In your text is the first one. The commentary is this: these people clearly disagree about what is essential to having Christian faith. The participants in this debate might not be able to arrive at a stipulated definition for Christian unless they realize it is only a means to get at the deeper issues about which they disagree. But it is not obvious that these sentences are correctly understood to be emotive expressions. Okay, so there comes the book's response, and I'm quoting. Okay, it says this is likely to be a substantive difference in matters of faith. but it is not resolvable using critical analysis, and so on and so forth, telling you that this is a substantive disagreement, detailed from the text. That means you want to be careful how you distinguish what we call verbal dispute from a substantive. It's not just because of the word repeated. No, what are they disagreeing about? So listen to the exchange. I'm saying the person is Fanti, and you say no, he's Akan. That's example one. I've gone back to example one. We are not disagreeing because someone just has to tell us the Fantis are also Akan. In the case, it's resolved. It's about the language of referencing, but they are all Fantis and Akans are all one. Fantis are Akans. That's the point. But the second example, capturing substantive disagreement, says that man is not a real Christian. That man is not a real Christian. I give you reason because how did I say man and I say she? Wow. Because he does not speak in tongues. It should be he. He does not speak in tongues. So this person's prescription of what should constitute Christian is what speaking in tongues. The other person said, no, she really is a Christian because she was baptized and confirmed in the United Methodist Church. This second person's view of what it means to be a Christian or what should be a Christian. That's why they are content is what? Being baptized. And so this one may never be resolved. Look at the many number of churches and branches of Christianity and versions of interpretation of scripture that we have. And everyone believes they are right. And so it keeps going on and on and on. Meanwhile, the reference point is one scripture because it is not about the quotation. It is about the interpretation made of it. Viewpoint-oriented doctrinal differences. Women should preach. Women should not cover your head before you pray. Don't work the devil's box. Right? Give all your, stuff like that. It is how the person is. So remember my example about the gentleman showing the picture of the girl that he has found at Lagos and saying, she did be. Don't you see that the lady is very pretty? And this other looks on the phone and he doesn't see pretty. And you can't force him to see pretty. It's a point of view matter. Okay. If I say point of view, it's not emotions. Talking about what I think should be the definition of beautiful and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you got that, then we can now quickly move on to another important key thing in the unit. I pray that we don't have too lengthy a recording because most of the things are straightforward. I mean, when we use languages, expressions metaphorically, proverbially, idiomatically, look on my screen, idiomatic expressions, they are obviously not meant to be interpreted literally. Proverbs are meant to be intentionally vague, so treat them as such because one expression can have several interpretations to it if it is used symbolically, metaphorically, figuratively, proverbially. Okay, so that's why they are intentionally open-ended. Look on your eyes. Who is a pig? I said I could mean he's a glutton, he likes eating. I could mean he's dirty. I could mean he snores. There's 1,001 interpretations to give to that expression. That is why you do not want to do a literal interpretation. So the instruction for you is to bracket such metaphorical statements. Bracket them means treat them with exception. Now we can move on to ambiguity, equivocation, and the others. And you would have seen a number of them already. So this will just be reminders to guide you. When a statement is made, but that one statement can have two different meanings. One statement made, but that one statement can mean A. That same statement could also mean B. Then we say you are being ambiguous, two. Sometimes even more than two. Okay, but oftentimes we select. So ambiguous means you have said it one way, but it could have more than one meaning. And so you want to be clear. It's not a good way of using language. See this one, disappearing into a hole, I saw a mouse. Do you mean when you were disappearing into a hole, that you saw a mouse? Or you saw a mouse that is disappearing into a hole? Remember my free turkey example that I gave you when I was explaining equivocation? I talked about free, have free. Everything free. The notion of free, now it could give you. Now here's the example. Free turkey. Do you mean set the nation turkey free? Or you are saying there's free taking meat here for chops. Or you are saying set the bed, take it free from the coop behind the house. Angry goat injures farmer with cutlass. Is it the farmer that is holding the cutlass and he used it to injure the goat, or rather the goat was holding the cutlass? So there are quite a few more examples here that you may find interesting. Students who can serve grandparents. Did they cut their grandparents into pieces and cook them? See that one doesn't look like the obvious. It looks like the intended meaning that the students gathered and prepared meals and then served their grandparents with those meals. Do not clarify. This is a good advertisement skill. A very weird looking headline that will make you buy the paper. Go and open it and then you know what it's obviously. So you can use it that way if you think that deceiving your audience. But it can be ambiguous about important matters. You have to clarify so that you take away ambiguity. See another one. San Jose cops kill man with knife. Here again, is it the cop that was holding the knife and used it to kill someone, or the man was rather holding the knife and then the cops, it's the same thing. They got hold of him, just like the earlier one with angry goat and just with cutlass. The ambiguity is with the use of the word with. How we are using the word with is what is creating the ambiguity. Okay? We love hurting people. That example is so informative. St. Martin's, I think is it St. Martin? Let's expand it. St. Martin's Episcopal Church. St. Martin's Episcopal Church says we love hurting people. I'm sure that by now you have laughed your head off at home. Not picking on anyone, just showing you the extent to which ambiguity could be causing. You can see what is causing the ambiguity there. Hurting. How you are using the word hurting in that phrase there. We love hurting people, obviously. I think in front of a church, the actual thing that the church wants to say is we love people who have been hurt by others. You come all you that are heavy laden. I'll give you a sort of, that's what they want to say. You see, but they say we love hurting people, and it may suggest that we love to hurt people. We love to hurt people. Someone could take the church to court and point out that they have even issued a disclaimer in front of the church that is what they do there. They've taken all our monies. We are now homeless in the name of that. And the references, they could. So the ambiguity is clear there. Slow children crossing, depending on how you read it, you can see slow children crossing. That is ambiguous. There was one at the top, quite a number of them. Look at this. Priest marries his own son. Over to you. If you see the ambiguity now, then we are good to go. If you don't, discuss when you meet your tutors. Okay, it should be obvious to look at it. Can that same statement mean one, or that same expression mean this A and also mean B? That's the question. Priest marries his own son. Is it that he the priest became a husband and his son became a wife of him? You see, that's one sense of the word. This priest marries his own son. And then the other one, which we think will be the obvious meaning, will be the priest becomes the one who blesses the marriage of his own son and another woman. See how I said that? Then there's no ambiguity. Okay, we met a provocation earlier, so I think that this will be crucial. Using different connotations, the meanings of one word in the same context, in a way that suggests that they mean the same, when in fact the meanings have shifted without notice to the audience. We will accuse the speaker of being equivocal. We saw quite a number of them. These ones should drive home the point now. Noisy children are a real headache. To aspirin will make a headache go away. Therefore, to aspirin will make noisy children go away. And obviously, you can see the different uses of the word headache. The first sense of the word headache, and the second one, which has shifted. One is pain in the head, which you take physical medicine to get off. The other one is an expression that says they are they worry. They are a nuisance. So noisy children are a nuisance. That's the sense in which the speaker said noisy children are a real headache. Not that they are a pain that happens in the head. So two uses of the word headache confused over there. The one with the responsible, which I'm sure you know now. We are looking for a responsible person for this post. The applicant says, I think I am the one, because in the previous job, whenever something got missing, they said I was responsible. There we go. Applicant using the same word differently. Okay, when I say differently, the word is the same. The meanings of that word change. Remember our example with chair. So the connotations are different. This person uses one meaning, one connotation of the word, and then builds an argument, continuing with another connotation of that word. But he doesn't make it look like it's another one. He's talking as if he's still referring to the same meaning that was earlier used. Look at example 3. Mad people must be institutionalized. Zainab is madly in love with Abu, so she must be institutionalized. There you go. Mad people. You put them in an institution. Then we now say Zainab is madly in love with Abu. Being madly in love, that second use of the word mad, it's not the same as the first one where we put people into prison. Into hospitals to be taken care of. So Zainab's madly in love with Abu. It's not the type of mad that you put people into hospital to treat. But the speaker is using the two together as if they mean the same. Then we have diagnosing vagueness. What is vague? When its intended meaning is indeterminate. Remember how we critiqued vague definitions. So the definition is vague. Vague means it is imprecise, indeterminate. Remember, example, democracy is freedom for all. When I say democracy is freedom for all, we showed you how ambiguous that could be. Freedom for all, how? What do you mean by freedom? For all who? All people, including, whatever, suicide bombers that may find their way in your country. They feel free, prisoners too should come, rapists should feel free to express themselves. It couldn't be that we said that when we were discussing definitions. Very good. Now we want to apply the same thing here. So when we say a term or a phrase or a word is vague, it means it is not specific. So the proverb says it will be here any moment from now. That is vague. It's general, so general that it doesn't specify anything. Any moment from now can be 1 minute from now or 100 million years from now. Either way, it is still any moment from now. And then any graduate who is not finding a job is not looking hard enough. What does it mean to look hard enough? I asked folks those questions. Now, the point is for you to take note that metaphors and proverbs, idiomatic expressions, figurative expressions, all those one. Nancy's a flower. Life is war. When we say life is war, it doesn't mean when you get a gun or knife and start throwing them left, right, center because you are living life. No, it's figurative. So you was advised to bracket them, treat them specially. Look out for what possible use the person who spoke it has in mind, because it could stand for several. The Lord is my shepherd. Are we four-legged? I'm not a sheep physically. But when they say the Lord is my shepherd, it's symbolic use. God, Jesus is my shepherd means there is something about sheep that I am referencing. Okay, we are the sheep of his slaughter. Whenever I say we're the goat of his slaughter, but we go around saying kid. We call children kids. Very powerful, thing there. But we don't look out for it. We are the sheep of his slaughter. He was represented with dove, lion, never with pig, for example. Okay, so these are symbolic. That is why we want to be careful when we hear expressions, whether a proverb, a metaphor. You look out for what its possible meanings could be. And so from there, these are all repetitions. Remember, argument, the types of this, why I will put them there, that is substantively the university now. Okay. You see, argument, you have done that. Narratives, they tell you how something happened, but instruction tell you how to do it. How? I mean, straightforward. It's a passage that tells you how to do it. You see, rhetorical polemics, they capture strong feelings. So think of emotive expressions, senior brother. Emotive expression is one expression sitting there like that, full stop. When you put a collection of them together, you have a rhetorical, polemical rhetoric, and then argument, a set of statements, only one of which is the conclusion. The rest are premises leading to that conclusion. We told you to understand that, look, arguments are not exchange of words. Argument is making a claim and giving reasons why that claim should be accepted. That's what an argument is. Okay. This one, I don't have to come and tell you during classes. Your teachers at the don't have to come and tell you. Look at it, it's written like this. So you have to do some of the work yourself. About 60% is yours. We will only come to throw light on it to make it meaningful to you. Look on your screen. Straightforward. Every argument has two parts. Conclusion, premise. The conclusion is what you want to say. We've done all that. The premises are the reasons why you are saying what you want to say. Okay. And here is an instance on the screen now, please, where you don't see a premise indicator or a conclusion indicator. It's a whole passage that is sitting there. It's a whole passage that is sitting there. No, so if, since, thus, consequently. So there is nothing pointing to the premise. There's nothing pointing to the conclusion. It's just there like that. But when you read it, you'll see that the very first statement is the conclusion and the rest are the premises. We give you some examples to munch on. Okay, so here are examples of arguments. You will see that the so down there indicates conclusion. Therefore, there also indicates conclusion. That's how you determine an argument. Note that sometimes if the premises are true, it becomes necessary to accept the conclusion also. And we do that. You do that with your tutors in Unit 6 to know which type of argument has that feature. Well, which feature is that? Where if the premises are true, it will lead to a true conclusion necessarily because of the language of it. And then the other one, that the premises could be true, conclusion false, and no contradiction will be created. Okay, that is it. So these are more examples just for your practice. See, more examples where you have the whole argument being valid and its premises being true, then you call it sound. You do all those in Unit 6. Just see the examples. So all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. That's an example of an argument. You should be able to identify conclusion and premises. Okay, so far. One more slide, I think. Just a summed up slide. We discussed this one also extensively when I did an example of how someone can be equivocal on the word free. I used that time to show you that you can be equivocal on the use of the word law because of its many connotations. In Unit 5 gives you a very good example of that. And so it shows you several laws and then categorizes them into two main groups of laws, the normative laws versus the empirical laws. So the particular examples of laws that you study or you are studying in Unit 5 of your text should be giving you, okay, the examples of those laws and where you should place them, whether they are normative or empirical. You can look out for some more examples of them in your text if you have it. If you don't have it, the resource tool gives you quite a number of them. These are the laws I'm talking about. Natural ones are the ones that are empirical. Okay, natural laws. All the others are normative. So when you engage with your tutor assigned for that, you should be able to ask those questions. See, oral law, logical law, mathematical law, divine law. We discussed all those as examples of different connotations of the word law when I was discussing connotation, denotation with you and wanted to show you equivocation on the word law. And I think that if you were to look out for those, you should do fine
with your Unit 5 as well. I just thought that a quick sum up of the substantive matter in Unit 3 should be helpful, given the 1 or 2 hiccups that happened over the weekend with your tutors who are assigned. Because of the way we do our teaching at DE teaching requires some tutorial sessions, and so hopefully you'll have a good time with your tutors as well. Thank you very much. Send me your queries as always. All the best and take care.